I'm Robin Clevitt. Welcome to my channel. If you're new to my channel and you haven't subscribed, maybe go and subscribe, press the bell for the notifications and all the rest of it. I'm out on site now. I've been tasked with the job of removing this kitchen, so all the cabinets, the appliances, all the stuff that's integrated, the worktops, the sink and everything. So the reason why we're taking it out is because there's some building work going on and we may be reusing in a different part of the building some of this cabinetry. It's a typical kitchen. It's like a high street kitchen, if you like. There's nothing handmade or bespoke about it. And so I know how these things go together, but there's a few things and tips and tricks I'd like to show you along the way, just in case you're embarking on taking out a kitchen or maybe even a bedroom unit or something like that, where to look for fixings and how to get things off. Now, there's no guarantee that this is gonna go well. This granite looks like it's been really well bedded down here. And of course, the tiles and all the beads here have all been silicone back. So we've got to go along, carefully get all that out, lift the work surface away from the units, try to cut through any silicone or adhesive that's holding it down. We've got a corner which has been resined together, so that's been resined together, so we've got to try and break that joint there and see how it goes. So let's get on with it. Let's start stripping it out. So one of the first things we'll do is we'll remove all of the bits that were fitted last. In most cases, that's the doors. We'll leave the handles on. And most modern kitchen doors are quick release. So you pull a section at the back of the hinge and they just shut and they're moved. Then what we'll do is we'll put them all out of the way. Now, these units are all the same and there's not many doors which are exactly the same size. So I can pretty much safely put these out of the way. But if I had a repeat of doors, I'd want to put a bit of masking tape on the back and mark them up with a number, put a number on here, because then they'll go back on and you haven't got to fiddle or adjust the hinges to suit a door that wasn't in that spot. So we'll get all the doors off, we'll get the drawers out, that's very easy as well. Most drawers will pull out and then you'll either just pull a clip and release them or lift them out like this. That's the drawer out. You can leave the runners in the units. So you're going to remove as many bits and pieces as you can. For example, here I've got a dishwasher. I can leave the door attached to the dishwasher. I can remove the dishwasher in its entirety with the door on. I can also take out these appliances. They've been isolated, so there's no problem with getting these out. It's just a matter of taking out the fixing screws to find the ones that are restraining them. They should be fixed. In fact, this one isn't fixed. That's a bad example of an appliance there. I mean, that's no way that should happen. I mean, if you imagine a child or someone like that accidentally pulling on that and coming forward. So that's actually really not that good. I'm surprised about that. Let's just check if this oven is also unfixed. So the oven's restrained, which is something anyway. So we will find the screws for that and we'll take that one out. We've isolated them. Behind here somewhere there should be the spurs, which is where the cables are connected, but we can't see them. You should really want to see them instead of having to go back to the fuse board and turn them off there. And to take out the tap and the dishwasher, again, isolated the dishwasher. We've got the connection to the dishwasher underneath this waste. If I just pop this out of the way, this waste here, that's the connection. It's on, turn it at 90 degrees, it's now off. On, off. That enables me to unscrew this section, which is basically going off to the dishwasher, and get that out of the way. And that's the thing we do there. Now that's out of the way. You're going to get a little bit of water out. It's going to go on the floor. It's not going to matter too much. Okay, so that's it. A little bit of water there. It's certainly not worth worrying about. That's the isolation point for that. This is the waste for the dishwasher. We pull that out as well. And that will go out of the way. Then we've got to isolate these taps. Now, they are in a funny position. You can see that there's what we call a ball affix valve here, and there's one there's for the hot and there for the cold. And when the screw is in the upright position, they're generally on. That's when the water's passing through. We've got to turn those to 90 degrees. they do have a bit of a habit of letting by. If you haven't got that screw exactly there and start undoing it, you get a bit of water come out. But again, you know, you're going to take a little bit of water, it's going to get a little bit of water through. All of this waste now can come out, so we'll release it from the bottom of the bowls here, just like this. Pull that out there. We'll take it off of here. That gets the body of it out of the way. Again, this is going to have a bit of water to the water line there, so it's going to keep it. We'll try to keep it as much in this trap as we can. Let's see if we can keep that in the trap. There we go. Okay. There we go. It's a little bit grim. It's just what's coming back out of the water trap. Now, all that will be holding the dishwasher in is a screw here and a screw here, and the plinth, of course. If I just pull the plinth out of the way, this is the plinth. It's quite a narrow, skinny plinth. A nice gasket on the bottom though, so it's quite not bad. I'll pop this out of the way there. So underneath the plinth, you can see the dishwasher is on its own legs. In fact, this side has been propped up with a piece of wood. Another classic example of something that's not gone quite right. And I can also see as well, which is quite, I don't like this idea, a socket which is just under the, just like that. Look, I mean, what happens if there's a slight flood in the kitchen and the water goes in the back of that socket? Yeah, it's a disaster. So I don't like that. That's not good. I've gone to the trouble of having armoured cables and putting dishwasher on there, but you know, that isn't what we want. We don't want to see that. You can have them inside that cabinet. You can plug it in there, but floating around on the floor like that, that's probably not good. I'm not sure if that's building regs. I'm sure there's lots of electricians here who will tell me that if that is on the floor like that, you want to have it at least IP rated, I don't know, because it could get wet potentially, especially in the kitchen. So now we're going to need to release this dishwasher in a minute. We've got a leg missing, which is a bit of a shame. So we need to keep that shim underneath. We'll unscrew it and then we'll ease that out of the way. This is a good dishwasher. It's a Miele. It's a really good dishwasher, so we're going to look after that and we can reuse that. So I'm taking out the work surface. Before I take this out, I need to remove this extractor. It's a rise and fall extractor. And basically this has seemed to govern the design of this kitchen because they've brake fronted the work surface. They've pulled the hob forward. The only trouble with that is obviously it restricts the width of the kitchen and you can't reach the windows. So the hob itself is so far forward of the rise and fall extractor that its effectiveness isn't that good. There's at least, say, I don't know, 250 or 300 millimeters between the back of the hob and where it rises and falls. So it's not really doing that much. The client was actually saying it didn't really work that well. The second reason is because they've got a standard size hose. Now, when I fitted these before, you meant to have a 150 millimeter or 6-inch duct going off. They've reduced that down to 4-inch, which obviously restricts the flow. The other thing as well about ducting is every time you add a bend or a crease or a turn, you're actually reducing the performance of the unit. I've done a fair bit of MVHR, mechanical ventilation and heat recovery, and they actually say when you're installing one of those systems, you use a rigid duct with as few corners or bends as possible. You can have long flowing bends, but in this instance, they've used this sort of typical flexi. Now, when you fit an MVHR, for example, they say you mustn't use any more than 300 millimeters of this type. And you can see this is all concertinaed in here. So even though this is a really nice extractor, used in this instance, it probably wasn't doing that well either. And the other thing I really don't like is all the connections, each piece. So we take off the body with the motor, we take off the power pack here, and then we can remove all of the other items. But underneath the work surface, underneath here, is just a load of connectors. They're not properly sealed up. I mean, look at that. I mean, that is, you know, you have the slightest flood in here, and there's some serious issues. We're at the part of the kitchen strip out where we can now release the solid surface. In this case, it's a granite. We need to release that from the units. Now, generally speaking, it's not attached mechanically at all. It's literally the weight of the product bearing down on top of the units. And quite often you'll find that there's some silicone put on the top of the units first, so it's actually glued down. So the thing is, we are trying to save it. It may not get reused in this configuration, but it's particularly weak anywhere like this, for example. Now, we've also noticed that both of the units at the front have got a break in them underneath. So this rail, where they've cut it out, it's been broken. Sometimes when they're using a jigsaw, the jigsaw jumps, ka-ching, and the same on the back. So we know that this particular unit is going to be a little bit floppy when this starts to move. So what we need to do is I've cut some wedges, some sort of folding wedges here, and all therefore is between us. I'll ease it. We'll get a wedge in and we'll drive it in with just a rubber mallet, just give it a little gentle tap. What we don't want to do is distort anything, but what we do want to do is enable us to see if there's any silicone there, because it will start to pull apart hopefully, and then we can get a blade, go around and free it, and as soon as you free it, then we can put some shims in, lift it up and get it moving. And then what we need to do to break that joint over there, which has got a resin in it, we literally need to use the leverage of itself and possibly tapping the joint here. Okay, Ed, if I start this off, I'll get some of these under and start shimming where you can see any gaps. So first of all, I'll ease it up. We've got the airbags as well. We might bring them into play. First of all, I'll ease it up. In fact, you can probably get near the corner there, which is solid. If I get it up, just give that a tap, but have a look and make sure it's going between, not damaging that surface. Yeah? Yeah, go on then. Okay. That'll do there. Let's have a little look.
Broken silicone down here.
Great, so in that case, let's go a bit further along. That's it, it's breaking it up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Silicone's going now. Let's try and get one in here. Cheers, mate. Mustn't use your hand. It's on the move. Let's try and get one under here. Yeah, it's pretty good here. It needs a bit here. I've definitely got a lot of silicone over this bit. So let's have a little look over here. Let's have one of them. I can hear it. I can hear that stretching. There we go. I think that's probably been weak there because of that. Nothing underneath that bit. I think, mate, it's all pretty free now. I think it's just its own weight. So if we between us just try and give it a little.
Yep. Shall I go down here?
Just lift from here. Then we can both go down there and lift it. Both go on the end. Yeah. Now we can have a look through here. Ready, I'll give it another whack with this, ready? There we go.
Beautiful.
Perfect. Pop that under this one. If I lift it for you, you can lift it if you think you're the giant. I'll pop it on there. Okay, relax. You relax. Now we're just going to edge it along level. Just keep going that way until the weight's a bit further along. 1, 2, 3. So Ed, we've got to get this last bit of granite out, mate, and it's trapped a little bit by there, but because we've got a free end here, that's pretty good. But I think there's something going on in here, might be some silicone. So same again, if you can drive a wedge in, if I give it a little tweak, and then we'll shim it, see if we can get anything out. So if I give it a little tweak.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you see through?
See daylight through this one.
What about on this end here? Is it attached to that?
No, it's all clear through the end there.
All the way through? Okay, mate, that looks all right then, doesn't it? So,
It's just this bit here on the sink as well.
I'll tell you what, so you've taken this out of the way, that's good. So that's a little bit of plastic there of some description. Just holding that together. Yeah, we can actually see that the silicone on the sink is wanting to pull away, which is a good thing. So if we get that knife through there,
Yep.
so we get ourselves some sort of blade. Come round here in case it wants to jump out. Pass us that over here. I'll try from this side as well. See a bit more from here.
Oh, that's better.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, it's a bit gloopy.
A fair bit in there.
Get a hand to it because it'll get to a point. It'll get to a point where the base, the bowl says, "Oh, I'm a bit heavier than the mastic can hold now." And in fact, what it might do, it's, once we get these sides and the front, it might peel itself away.
Very nice.
If I put this in there as well, I can probably get this all the way through now, like a. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It may sometimes they have like a mechanical fixing too, but a ferrule which is bored into the bottom of the granite. I've not often seen it used. High-end kitchens I've seen it used. Now let's see if we've got that going there.
It's held in onto the cabinet actually. There's two bits of
Onto this trim.
two bits of timber holding it on.
Oh, okay,
so we
fine.
are loose.
In that case then, that'll stay there, won't it, when we
Yeah.
take the granite off the top. Let's just give that a little lift and see if we've got any movement in it at all.
It needs to come away from this corner.
What we'll do then, I think you're doing good there. What we'll do is we'll free up the back of that.
Yeah.
Then I'll give you that. And then we'll pull it outwards. We might have to lift this end up first. But that's handy that that sink is supported by those timbers.
Yeah, it's free now.
Oh, that's good. Excellent. It's amazing, isn't it, how a little bit of silicone that still holds on can make it all go a bit funny, but that's good, isn't it? I'm glad about that. So if I just pull mine forward, that's it, we're all free now. So you're under the tile, so we should keep going forward until we're free of this, eh?
Okay.
So you're still supported on that unit. Touch more my end first, that's it. Now what we'll do is, we'll see if we can ease it out like this, past that unit. Yes, right, I'm gonna take this end. I've got this end now, so ease it across until you can get a hand to it. All right, mate? Yeah, keep using the cabinet as your helper. And you ready? Ready to do the turn? That's brilliant, okay. All right?
Yeah.
Now we'll just walk it out. So we've got this kitchen out now, mate, and it wasn't brilliant, to be fair. The kitchen units were quite nice, and it was fairly well fitted in terms of it was level, plumb and true, and all the rest of it, and the doors worked, so the quality of the units was all right, but it's this, I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, it's just,
So
I mean, I know that the regs say that you can run cables underneath kitchen units. So obviously, if you're watching this and you're saying it's fine, it's fine, it's fine, it may be fine. But when you see things like this, where you've just got a trailing socket, okay? Now, yes, it says fridge on it, so it's nicely labelled up, and I'm sure it's well wired up. But really and truly, that underneath the kitchen floor, yes, if there was a flood of some description, it's not going to be good, is it? It's not going to be good at all. And even the, like the microwave was just in a Wago box, wasn't in a proper spur, fixed in the wall, nice and wide in, you know, this is all a bit dodgy really, I would say. So anyway, all that's going to go, it's all going to be taken out. The electrician's coming over especially to make sure everything is taken right back to the board to enable us to carry on safely. So when you're taking a kitchen out to reuse it, just take your time. I think that's the message I want to get across. Take your time, make sure you can actually handle the weight of the stuff. You see we've had 3 people doing this at points because of the fact that the granite, you have no idea how heavy that might be.
I
So,
like the colour.
Exactly, yeah, I've said that. If the darker it is, the heavier it is. And that's something one of my granite men told me once. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. Our effort of how to take a kitchen out for reuse. We've got to stack and store that now. So it's another afternoon's work, I suppose.
Yeah.
All right, Ed?
Yeah, I'm good.
Thank you, mate.
No worries.
Catch you all soon.